The attack hit me as a total surprise. A diabolical virus slipped into my body while I attended a funeral in Missouri. The secret hitchhiker rode back to Texas and before long began to do its work. My wife, Jan, fell ill and I followed suit shortly thereafter. COVID-19, the deadly devil who had brought death and misery to millions, had arrived on the Bright Star Farm. In July 2022, we joined the victim list in spite of our up-to-date vaccines, mask wearing, and protection during the previous 2 years of pandemic fear. Hi friends, I'm Larry Payne, the host of Tracks for the Journey, a network dedicated to your well-being. In this episode, I want to continue my story of dealing with Leukoplakia, a chronic pre-cancerous condition on my tongue. And in doing so, I hope you'll find some meaning in the story as I share my theology and try to give encouragement if you struggle with a chronic disease or condition. The first episode I've already released and is available as a podcast or YouTube video titled My Leuko Nemesis. You can find that through my website, www.tracksforthejourney.com. After the bout with COVID had ended, we noticed some peculiar effects. Jan's taste buds went haywire and small sores erupted inside my lips. Throughout the fall months of 2022, these conditions worsened. Large sores on my tongue made eating painful, especially with spicy foods, hot, cold, crunchy, citrus. Well, just about anything I tried to put in my mouth produced a difficult and threatening pain. Jan, that Thanksgiving day, produced a sumptuous Thanksgiving feast for the entire family, though nothing tasted normal for her, and I chewed carefully around in my mouth to avoid the sores and that throbbed with every bite. But I didn't back down from the pumpkin pie that was laid on that table. During those months, I visited several medical practitioners. I had no risk factors for oral cancer, and so my primary physician suggested an allergic reaction was producing those red, painful lesions that spread across the right side of my tongue. I started seeing an ear, nose, and throat specialist. He assured me, after a brief visual exam, it wasn't cancer, a fear that, of course, had haunted my mind for weeks. Whew! It was really a relief, I thought, and this meant I could surely beat this thing in time. Being a minister, I of course engaged in spiritual reflections about my pain. In 2018, a refreshing new view, open and relational theology, had grabbed my attention. The school of thought defined God's non-coercive, essential love as a foundation for faith. That paralleled what I had been experiencing all my life. And I wrote in my diary, the essential love of God, Christ universal, ultimate salvation for all through Jesus, the Bible as narrative, the Spirit working in all things, science as an ally, the future open and collaborative. That's where I am, and I'm pleased to be. My diary expressed what has carried me through in so many things since then. It offered a profoundly biblical view of God as ever-present, ever-loving, and fully active. And that enriched my worldview dramatically. I never imagined how important those ideas would be in the coming months. As 2023 unfolded, my life hummed along in a normal fashion. We enjoyed grandkids growing, cared for the pecan trees, worked at church, and even had a chance to sail the beautiful blue Mediterranean Sea. My only problem was the persistent, painful sores on my tongue. I took extra vitamins, stopped drinking soda, used lidocaine lace mouthwash, yet still the problem wouldn't go away. Finally, I asked the ENT doctor to do a biopsy in the search for answers. The pathology result wasn't good. The pathologist said it was dysplasia. What? I had never heard of such a thing like that. After 18 months of medical care which missed the diagnosis, I felt shocked to learn the sores on my tongue had become mutated cells that would ultimately lead to cancer. Surgery was needed. What? Surgery on my tongue? That news wasn't the kind of present I wanted for Christmas 2023. But in February of 2024, I knew it was time to sharpen the knife to deal with this illness. Thanks for sharing these brief remarks about my memoir of dealing with this cancer condition. Now, I'm the last living member of my nuclear family. Mom died of cancer at age 72. Dad died in a car wreck at age 75. My sister Judy died of ALS complications at age 74. And my brother John died of injury-induced dementia at age 74. Can you hear a pattern that is disturbing? It seems to say being 72 years old in my family is a dangerous time. No one has lived more than 3 years beyond that mark. And I'll be honest, it shook me to hear that I had a chronic prelude to cancer, no known cure type of illness. You see, I had told God that dying at age 95 was okay with me, preferably peacefully with no suffering. Maybe I didn't hit send on my prayer mail. Across 50 years of Christian ministry, I have preached more funerals than weddings. I've been in a hospital room as a chaplain more times than I can count, watching quietly as patients took their last breath on this earth. I know the departure from physical existence on planet Earth is really, really a real thing. And I don't have nightmares about the grim reaper standing at my bed, but my journey with dysplasia and leukoplakia has made real the inevitable moment when the roll is called up yonder. I'm so grateful for the theology that I mentioned a few moments ago. It has some good news that's helped me deal with the chronic pain and the surgery. I've come to learn, as the Bible teaches, that love is the essential nature of God, and that love provides and engages in a profound relationship with me and you and all the entities in the universe. I am not now, nor will I ever be separated from this life-giving divine love. I know that I'm both a carbon-based life form and a hyperdimensional life form. God is with me in this matrix, interwoven in the energy of the physical world and the mental consciousness across all life forms. Based on this dynamic relationship, I know God holds all my identity, thoughts, actions, and failures, the total record of my experience in everlasting consciousness. Just as the light from a faraway star may continue after that stellar body blows itself up in a supernova, so my consciousness will always be shining in the divine experience. I don't need a soul inside of me because I am ensouled in God. God and I have a long, good road ahead, and that's exciting. With hope to deal with my condition and a deep appreciation for medical care and family support, I scheduled a partial glossectomy for February 2024. That medical term meant they were going to cut away part of my tongue to deal with this Leukoplakia disease. The doctor assured me that my prospects were good for taking up oxygen on this earth for many more years if I had the surgery. Now, in the Bible, The Apostle James ranted about the tongue. And preachers do that at times, getting loud about subjects most of us ignore. He called the tongue a small member and used the words about it being like a fire, that it stains the whole body, a restless evil, a deadly poison. That's what he called this amazing organ, the tongue. And of course, he was using analogy to warn about the power of speech. But a rant like that could make a person want to cut out their tongue. Well, here's my advice. Don't do that. My tongue is indeed a small member, like James said, and it got smaller on February 7th, 2024. That was my first partial glossectomy to deal with the Leukoplakia that was morphing into cancer cells across my tongue. After 2 years of painful sores, I had come to the point of action to deal with the disease. On that day in 2024, I was prepped and rolled into the operating room. The mask over my face felt so comfortable, I took a deep breath and was on a journey to La La Land. 2 hours later, I awakened to the news that the deadly cells had been removed from my upper layers of skin on my tongue. I surprised the nurse by saying with some clarity, "The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain." She thought that was good, considering my tongue was 20% smaller than it had been a couple of hours before. Jan and my younger son Drew were there to cheer me on, and soon I was on the way home. A piece of cake, really. Until the third day. Searing pain surged throughout my mouth and jaw as everything began to wear off, like my tongue was at the wrong end of a blowtorch. I couldn't eat anything. My medical care team, my son, Dr. Drew Payne, and Jan, created a schedule of pain management, a feature that my surgeon had neglected to do. I took something for pain every 3 hours. My liquid diet kept me going when the swallowing was too painful. Jan's patient caregiving overcame my whining as the days went by, and I slowly improved. A few days after the surgery, the very best news came. The pathology report showed all the margins were clear and no cancer was found. The naughty cells were gone forever. And within a few days, I had improved enough to travel and see the grandkids. We had a great visit, and I even did a 3-mile run to celebrate. Quite the man, I thought. For 9 days, the healing of the surgery went great. Then, well, in the next episode, I'll share what happened on day 10 and the further treatments in this personal journey with chronic illness. I hope you'll stay with me as I post that next episode, because I believe all of us need the kind of strength and resilience that helps us through those deepest times of need. Thanks for joining me today.